Hi, friends. I'm Phil. Welcome to my poetry workshop. Today I wanted to try something new, and I have no idea how this is going to work, but I figured we could try to write a poem together. So I'm going to start from absolute scratch, and I'm just going to talk you guys through as I try to write a poem. And if you'd like to write a poem alongside me, you're more than welcome to. You can write a poem about anything you like. For me, I honestly, right now, I have no idea what we're going to write about. So we're going to start from the beginning and we're going to see how it all works out, okay? So, what I have to get started at least is some whiteboard markers, and I've got a whiteboard right here. So, we are going to work together to make a poem. As you can tell, I'm making this up as I go. All right, so let's write a poem. What do we want to write a poem about? So, normally, as you know, I would go into my notebook and see if I can find any ideas. So, let's start there, shall we? I'm going to go into my notebook, my idea catcher, and see if I have any fun ideas
that remind me of anything.
Had an idea for a puppet that's made out of a shirt sleeve. Ooh. What do you think about something called Inside Clyde? That's a fun idea. It's a kind of a fun name I came up with at one point. Let's start there. Inside Clyde. Okay? And this idea came out of my notebook. And I've never written this before, but we're going to do it together. So, Inside Clyde. What does an Inside Clyde sound like to you? I like his name. Obviously, it's a kid or a guy or a weird dude. And inside, what does inside mean to you? Well, one thought would be he's spending a lot of time inside right now because of quarantine. We're all kind of spending time inside. That might be a good idea because we can all kind of relate to that right now. But just to think about it some more, what else would Inside Clyde be? Well, Inside Clyde could be funny because it could be about something that is inside Clyde. So it could be about like a germ. Could be about a germ or something nice like a blood cell that is floating around in Clyde's like bloodstream. That could be something that's inside Clyde. He could be spending time inside. What else? Inside Clyde. Inside Clyde. He could have a secret. He could be part of an organization and he could be on the inside. He could be all knowing. He could really have a good idea there. Inside Clyde. He could be trapped inside of a box of some sort. He could be inside. Inside Clyde. That's kind of similar to this, but not necessarily the exact same thing. So, Inside Clyde. Inside Clyde. Let's let's try. I'm glad you're doing it with me right now. You can see that sometimes you just have to pick something and see if it works out. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's go with spending time inside because it's something that we're all kind of doing. But let's keep these ideas on the side just in case we need to, just in case we decide we want to reference them later. Germ, cell, secret. Maybe we'll end up using more than one idea in the same poem. Maybe they'll kind of work together with the main idea. But right now, we'll keep this on the side as a little brainstorm area. And we're going to delete this so we can keep working. Okay. So we've got Inside Clyde. Okay, so he's stuck inside because of quarantine is what we had decided. So he's stuck inside like we are. So he's safe at home. That's another good term for it. Probably a nicer term than stuck inside. Safe at home. Okay. What kinds of things do you do at home? Well, you cook a lot of your own meals, right? You have to entertain yourself. That's kind of fun. Like, what does it look like to entertain yourself? Maybe in a silly way. What's a way that you would do something that would be in a group or maybe normally outside, but this guy does it all inside because that's what he has to do. So that's kind of fun. Entertain yourself. Outside activities. Inside. That's fun. What else? What else do you do inside, or when you spend a lot of time inside? Oh, you don't see the sun very often, so maybe you get really pale. What else? Spend a lot of time on your couch, or in a chair, and those could be fun if we combine those with outside activities inside. What if you started using a couch or a chair as something you would normally do outside? So what if you were like thinking you were like driving the couch, like you would a car, or you were riding in the chair like a roller coaster? That's weird. That would be a weird thing for a person to do. They're inside. That could be kind of funny. Um, cool. What else? What else does someone do who's stuck inside, who's safe at home? They might spend a lot of time on the phone, right? Or in video calls. So I know we've done that. I know we're all kind of doing that right now. What if they had a friend who was a neighbor that they couldn't see but they could yell at a lot? So instead of using a phone, what if they were just opening the window and going, "Hey, Carl!" And Carl was like, "Hey, Clyde!" And they would just like have whole conversations yelling down the street. That's fun. That would be a funny thing to do if you were stuck inside. Um, Okay, well, this is enough to get started. We could just kind of move forward with this. So, those are our brainstorm ideas. These are going to be our next level ideas. So, we're going to kind of move these. I'm just going to move these over a little bit so we have them and then make this space available so we can keep working. So, actually, I'll move them over here because I've got room over here. And then this will be the stuff we're kind of working on. So, Inside Clyde is he's stuck inside. We're safe at home. Okay, so maybe he starts doing outside type things, outside activities inside. So a restaurant becomes cooking. That's kind of a normal one. Instead of car rides, he's on the couch ride. That's weird and kind of a funny thing. So that would be that. Or a roller coaster. Instead of using a phone. Pause. Hey guys, I didn't realize that at this moment, the camera that I had recording my whiteboard stopped recording. So you're going to just have to listen to me work this thing out for a little while. Sorry about that. Instead of using a phone, he starts yelling to his neighbors. Might get pale. And that could be a car or something more exciting than that. Those are exclamation points to mean exciting. They'll make sense to me, I guess. And I think that's it. Okay, cool. I think we moved all of our ideas over. So now, Inside Clyde. Okay, so now the question is, do we want to start it out by calling him Inside Clyde and say like, Inside Clyde is stuck inside and da 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 da. Or do we want to talk about this person and kind of slowly reveal that he is becoming inside Clyde instead of course, outside Clyde? Ooh, that's funny. Outside Clyde. If he was someone who spent a lot of time outside and went like camping, that is a funnier person to be stuck inside now because he's someone who really likes to be outside. So he went camping, stargazing. What are other crazy things you do inside? You might ride a bike. You might roller skate. I mean, that's all kind of the same. Roller skate or roller blade or skateboard or anything like that. So we'll kind of keep all those in the same bucket. All right, let's start playing with some words and phrases and see if anything sticks that we think is fun. If anything like catches a good rhythm or we say a line that makes us chuckle, then we'll go, okay, maybe this is how it should look. Because we really don't know right now. We don't know what the rhythm is going to be. We don't know the structure. We don't know kind of the path of the story yet. So we're really just starting from scratch right now. But we have a bucket of ideas, right? So we got this out of our notebook. That's a notebook. This is why I have an illustrator for my books, because that's my notebook. Some words inside. It's terrible. I can't even. So we got this out of the notebook, and then after that we kind of just brainstormed each individual part. So right now we're talking about Inside Clyde being stuck inside. Yeah, Inside Clyde was stuck inside, or Clyde did not. We can't camp anymore. No more camp. I'm sorry, but we. The camping trip that had been planned. What about that? I don't like it very much, but at least it's going to get us started. The camping trip planned was off. Pitched the tent in his bedroom. Summer camp. Summer camp. Summer camp is fun because there are very specific activities we do at summer camp and things we think about. And so, what if we made this about someone who was going to go to summer camp? That could be fun. So, a lot of this stuff still works, and we're going to work with summer camp for a minute. I think we might be onto something. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. Oh, that's the worst. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. Oh, yeah. If your mom said that, you would be pretty disappointed. I mean, if your name wasn't Clyde, you would also be wondering why your mom called you Clyde. But if your name was Clyde, you'd still be disappointed. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. There we go. See? Now we've got something. We got a little rhyme here, and the first two lines they set the stage. You're like, oh, I already know exactly where this is going. The fact that I'm getting excited about it and laughing makes me think that I'm onto something, and it's worth moving forward with this idea, this direction. Because now we've set this stage. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. You'll have the time inside. You'll have to spend the time inside. Yeah, now we've kind of painted a picture, right? We've painted a picture for what this looks like. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. So, one thing that I'm noticing really quickly is the first two lines. I like them a lot, but the first two lines are a quote from the mom or dad or uncle. I mean, whatever. The first two lines are a quote from what seems to be a parental figure because they're letting him know something that's disappointing. So if the first two lines are a quote, we need something to pull us out of that quote. Unless the poem, if we decide, we have to kind of decide pretty quickly if the entire poem is going to be in their voice. But the issue that I see with that is the person that's speaking, the mom or the dad, they wouldn't come up with all the fun things to do, right? Like they wouldn't be coming up with all the weird stuff that you do over summer camp. They would be just letting Clyde know that he wasn't going to be able to go to summer camp. Total bummer. And then Clyde would walk away from that conversation figuring something out. So we need to get out of this quote. Does that make sense? We need to either say, we need to break out of this quote and start talking about the poem from the point of view of watching what Clyde is doing. I think that's where we need to go. We might change this second sentence. So instead of saying, you'll have to spend the time inside, instead of it being a line that's being told to him, it would be summer camp is canceled, Clyde. No, let's leave it like it is for right now because I like the rhythm of it and it sounds really good. So summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. And then we need at that point we need to the next line definitely has to like break the news. So it's like mom broke the news or mom delivered. You'll have to spend the time inside. These are the words. These are the words. Essentially, I'm thinking in my head, but I should be sharing with you. These are the words Clyde didn't want to hear. These are like the worst words Clyde could have heard. Word and heard rhyme and kind of get us where we're going. So maybe we work with that word and heard. So if we had word and heard at the end of these two lines, we can flip them if we need to. Clyde couldn't Clyde was shocked. Clyde was shocked at what he heard. But mom said, that's the final word. Okay, cool. I like this. I don't love it. We might play with it a little bit later, but here's what this couplet does for us is it first of all takes us out of the quote. So we now in our heads we're living outside of just this person speaking. So summer camp was canceled, Clyde, you'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but mom said that's the final word. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken ourselves outside of the quote, right? And yeah, I mean, and then we established who told Clyde this was true. So now you know, okay, it's mom, so Clyde's probably at home. And then you also say that's the final word. It does, I think that this is fun because I think it does two things. I think saying that's the final word makes it so that there's no negotiation. So we've already stepped away from the possibility of Clyde arguing with mom or begging to go to summer camp or is there anything I can do or what is, whatever. We're done with that. So we're moving forward in this world where he has to be inside. There's no summer camp. But also, that's the final word. I think it's kind of good too, because I think what we're also implying to our reader is that even though you've read a whole bunch of quotes from mom in these first few lines, we're probably done dealing with mom quotes now that she said that's the final word. We'll see if that plays out, but that's kind of my instincts right now. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but mom said that's the final word. So now, what does Clyde do? How does Clyde make summer camp at home? I was shocked at what he heard. That's the final word. Summer camp inside a house. I don't know if that's the line, but that's kind of what Clyde is thinking. That's kind of where we're headed with the poem. Summer camp inside a house. But I don't like, what are the words that rhyme with house? I don't know that any of them work. Mouse. Mouse had nothing to do with this. Louse, rouse, mouse, mouse. Off the top of my head, there's nothing there in the house. I mean, we could spend time, we could look it up in a rhyming dictionary, and we could see if there's something. But normally, really early on in a poem, I don't use a thesaurus. I don't use a rhyming dictionary. As I'm laying out just the groundwork of something, I'll pull them out in a little bit when we start to get into the nitty gritty. But right now, I'm trying to lay out the framework of the poem. What does the poem look like? What's the story we're telling? Because at the end of the day, it's all about telling a story. So, summer camp, had to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard. That's the final word. Summer camp inside the home. There's different words inside the home. Summer camp is not the same. Same. I like same because you know why? You know what rhyme same gives me? Same gives me lame. And if I think summer camp inside the house, I think, oh, that's going to be pretty lame. So I think we have something like summer camp is not the same, inside the home is really lame. Now we work those words and we make it sound better, but I think that gives us the next step in this story is Clyde going, oh, this is going to be the worst, which is going to allow us to watch him make it oddly not the worst and maybe kind of weird, but it's going to set the stage. So same and lame. Let's play with those really quick. Summer camp inside. Summer camp inside is lame. Is fine, but I think the problem is that lame is our adjective. That is how he feels, and if we don't want to start this couplet with that, we want to end this couplet with that, right? We want him, especially since our other word is same. We want to say, oh, it's not the same to establish what he's thinking about, and then say this is going to be super lame to finish it. So summer camp inside is lame. It has a good rhythm, but I don't think it works because I want to use the lame in the second couplet. So summer camp inside. instead of using the word summer, which is adding those syllables at the beginning, what if we used those syllables to say camp inside is not the same? Now we've got this lame standing out here that is perfect. And so we've got two choices. He could just say, that sounds super, super lame. Fine. But if we can kind of start the process, right? We can use the process right now while he's thinking about camp inside is not the same. We can use this as an opportunity because we have this lame sitting out here. We can use this as an opportunity to start bringing in some of our detail ideas. Remember the ideas we had about like what kinds of things would you be doing at summer camp that now you're doing at home? So what's a version of stargazing in the house? What's a version of like biking or rollerblading in the house? We had written somewhere pitching a tent inside a bed. So let's look back at these other ideas that we had. Outside actions inside. That is exactly what this poem is about now, right? Like nailed it. Outside actions inside is exactly what we're making. Restaurant cooking. So I'm going to lose restaurant as an idea because I don't think that's how you cook at a summer camp, right? How do you cook at a summer camp? Well, you're on a bonfire. So if you're on a fire and you cook like hot dogs on a fire or something, that sounds like a camping experience. So at some point, we're going to be talking about what is our version of cooking now inside the house. So fire and cooking. But that seems like something kind of cool. So what's something that you would do at summer camp and the inside version is lame? So you sleep in a tent, car, couch. I don't think a car really makes sense here. The couch I'm sure we'll end up using for something, but I don't know what yet, so I'm just going to delete it for now. Phone and yelling. Maybe there's something with yelling down the street. But you don't really use the phone at camp. At least I don't think about a phone when I think about camp. I don't. So I'm actually going to lose the phone and yelling too. And I'm going to lose the pail because, I mean, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll end up using pail. If it fits. I don't think it's a particularly strong visual being pale because you don't go tanning at camp. Not intentionally, but we'll see. So fire and cooking is something you definitely do at camp. Instead of the phone idea, what about like postcards? You write postcards home. So that's kind of fun. It's a fun visual, I mean. It's not necessarily fun to write postcards and then just hand them to your mom, which maybe that'd be a good one for lame. But I don't know if it's a strong enough visual. We really need to think first. So really what I'm leaning to right now is the tent, right? Summer camp, yeah, it's a cabin thing. You kind of hang out in a cabin more than a tent, but tent is camping. And I feel like it's a strong enough camping idea that people would know what we're talking about. So what if we said that camp inside is not the same? We assume that he's at a summer camp that has a tent. Let's see if my tent is any better. Whatever. I don't need to draw a tent. I'm not illustrating this right now. So what if we said a tent? You would have like a stake there and a stake there, and then you'd have like a string there and whatever. Okay. So sometimes we get distracted, and that's okay. So camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent. That's funny. A bedroom tent. It's like saying a tent inside your bedroom, but I think that the rhythm is faster and good, and I think that it's clear enough that someone's going to know exactly what we're talking about. So camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. Okay, cool. Now we've got started. We're getting somewhere. This is a relief. This is fun. Inside Clyde. Let's recite what we have so far. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, "That's the final word. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame." And what, okay, so now we're just in the fun part, right? Where this is like the fun and games of this story. Now we just come up with really fun things, fun ways to talk about all of these things that you normally do at camp and what does it look like to do them at home. So you would have a fire and be cooking, or you would do scary stories. That's funny. Scary stories is kind of fun. Like that'd be a fun thing. It's a fun thing to do at camp, and it's kind of a silly thing to do at home. It's not the same. So scary stories is cool. Jumping in a lake instead of a lake. What if it was a bathtub? So we've got some good ideas here. I think we're working with some really fun stuff. Oh, this is cool. All right. So it turns out that my overhead camera for my whiteboard kind of stopped for a little bit. So we'll just go over what we have really quick. You kind of saw where we were going. We moved all of the details we had here over onto the left side, right? And then luckily we've been talking through the poem the whole time, so you know where we're at, but you can see it now. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, "That's the final word. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame." So, what are some other summer camp things that when he tries to bring them inside to home, um, they don't work as well? Okay, so we got room enough for one more couplet, and then what we'll do is we'll move this into either a document or into our notebook, and then we'll erase it so we can have some room to work. Normally, I would just be working somewhere. I have the room, but right now we're working together, so I want to make sure that we put everything right here. So camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. Um, what are the really good things that we want to talk about? Fire and cooking. I like that, but I kind of want to save that. And I was thinking marshmallows is really funny, like roasting marshmallows. Doing s'mores is funny, but I kind of want to save it just a little bit. Postcards is pretty tame. Tent, we got it. We did that one. Bedroom tent, awesome. Bedroom tent is pretty lame. I can't. Not I can't, because you can do these things. That's the whole point. So I can't isn't very good, but don't like swimming in the tub or bath, depending on if there's any rhymes that we have. Tub or bath. Math. Tub. Dub. Flub. Mub. Hub. Wub. Rub. 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 Is there anything you rub at camp? I don't like swimming in the tub. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. That's funny. We got a good rhyme for tub. It's something that you find in the tub, and it kind of adds some color. So now we got something. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. Cool. That's a good start. So why don't we add that? Why don't we type that up, and then we will erase this and then keep coming up with more. Let's type up what we have right now, and then we can move this text over, and we can keep working right here. Okay, so I'm going to type it up really quick. Okay, now that we got that typed up, we are safe. We can get rid of this stuff here, and we can still read it on the screen anytime we need to. Okay. If we didn't want to type it up on the computer, that would be okay. We could put it into a notebook and just like write it down. Sometimes you might be just working in a notebook, although I've got to say, using a whiteboard is pretty cool because it's pretty easy to erase. And so now the good news also is we said lake, bathtub, right? So that we got swimming in the tub and we got our bedroom tent. We've already knocked out two of our ideas, so that's really cool. So we've got a few more here. So let's see where we're going next. I was also thinking, right now, Clyde is talking about all the things he doesn't like about summer camp inside. And that's cool. Like, that's pretty straightforward. He doesn't like it. But sometimes you need more. It's nice to have some emotional arc, and it might be fun to see what happens if Clyde keeps coming up with ideas, and all of a sudden, some of these ideas start sounding pretty good. So he didn't like a bedroom tent, right? That was a no go, and he didn't like swimming in a tub, and that makes sense. Like that's really small. That's not a great place to go swimming and play. But some of these things might not be so bad, right? So like there are good things about being inside instead of at camp. You don't have to deal with any bugs or bug spray, right? So that's a good thing. That could be a nice thing. Um, Instead of cooking like a hot dog or instead of cooking like s'mores, he could have chocolate cake. That'd be a pretty good thing about being at camp inside. That was the other thought I had. Camp, I like that. Camp inside. What if we called it Camp Inside? That's funny. Um, Scary stories. If they're movies, they might be even scarier. So let's keep playing. Right now, he doesn't like it very much though, so we want to stick in the kind of doesn't like it, and then maybe we reach a point where he goes, "But you know that one wasn't so bad." So just something to think about. So we've already said the bedroom tent and the tub. Here, I just want to look at it. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. Um, I gotta keep thinking out loud. So I'm thinking postcards. Something that works with postcards is stamps, right? And then something that might work with fire, because we can use different fire for different things, light and cooking. What's something that might work for fire is lamps. So I think maybe we can play with something like something he's talking about using lamps instead of fire and using stamps or not using stamps for postcards because he's not sending them out. So that's one thing I'm thinking of. That's like a rhyme there that might work for us. Um, Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. I like the idea of him saying it's not as fun because then the next time he could be like, but this thing's not so bad. Um, okay, I'm just going to start jotting some stuff down just to kind of work out ideas because I don't really know exactly where to go from here. Sorry. I'm not sure exactly where to go from here, but we're going to figure it out. So it's not as fun. I like that idea. I like. I use bug spray a whole lot less. That would be in the positive, so that might be a little bit later after he starts to kind of change his mind. A whole lot less. The hallway isn't such a mess. That gives us a rhyme lesson mess. And here's what I'm thinking. The hallway isn't such a mess is kind of funny because at first glance it just means the hallway isn't as messy as being outside. You don't get as dirty, and we can figure out um, a way to lead into that. But there's also like a hidden meaning here, a hidden joke is that one of the things at camp would be a mess hall. So mess hall. So it's kind of like a secret little camp reference. Um, less the hallway is such a mess. So maybe we'll keep that or maybe we won't. Let's play with lamps and stamps. The postcards home don't need, I don't think the rhythm is right, but that's okay. Don't need stamps. Something that makes lamps easier than fire, better than fire, it's easier to turn them on, right? So the postcards home don't need no stamps. Oof. We'll figure out the rhythm later. Don't need stamps. The lamps. At night. Fires are fires take longer. Fires take longer than lamps. The fires. The fires thing. We need to lead into the fires thing. So that's where our scary stories might come in. We're going to save that for later. It feels like as he's really changing his mind and falling in love with Camp Inside, he talks about how he doesn't have to be homesick. And we're back. Okay, cool. So where are we? Fires longer than lamps. Okay, we're trying to get him one thing in between here. We're trying for him to take his one more couplet of things that aren't good, but maybe a little less not good, if that makes sense. So, first of all, a bedroom tent is pretty lame. He's absolutely anti bedroom tent. I don't like swimming in the tub. That makes sense. That's a really bad place to swim. That's definitely a thing you don't want to do. And if there was one more thing he really didn't like, um, I'm thinking about scary stories, right? Because I like that the next line is about fires. So maybe if he talks about scary stories right before, that would make sense that his brain would go from a scary story to a fire. So I like the idea of maybe scary stories being something that's here, and it's maybe not quite as good as being at camp, but it's not so bad either. So he's starting to like pivot his position on camp. So I'm thinking something like okay, so with scary stories, instead of hearing them from like a camp counselor around a campfire, you might hear them from your dad. Like your dad would totally be someone who would. I'm like looking up here and not here. Your dad would totally be someone that might take the place of a camp counselor in that situation, like tell you a scary story to make you feel like you're at camp. So I'm just gonna write really quickly, or scary stories from your dad. Okay, because I feel like there's something else he doesn't like up here. Okay, I want to lead into scary stories because it's next to fires, and that would make sense for his brain to go there. And dad makes sense as a camp counselor, and dad is a very easy word to rhyme. So I feel like we can probably find a good rhyme here with bad or mad or sad or something else that rhymes with dad. There's a lot. There's a lot. So let's think about something else. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. A bub was pretty bad. What are other things? What are other things that we do at camp? I really don't have that much. Stargazing is like a late at night thing. I feel like we're not there. Maybe scary stories. But you can kind of stargaze outside, so it doesn't seem that good. Bike, roller coaster, yeah, I'm not feeling these too much. Well, maybe stargazing. I shouldn't cross it out, but I just don't need it right now. Like a wake up call, like the trumpet wake up call. Like that's a thing that you totally have, that happens at camp, and any version at home would be like weird, right? Like a trumpet wake up call. Um, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm gonna move forward so we can kind of keep seeing it come together. My brother's wake up call is bad. I like the idea overall, but I think that the sentence is kind of weak. It doesn't tell us why. Is he just screaming? Does he is he bad at the trumpet? He's still trying to play a trumpet wake up call, but he's not. And we don't have the word trumpet in here, and the length of the line doesn't really allow for it. My brother's trumpet wake up call is bad. My brother's trumpet is bad. Um, I'm gonna change this slightly. It's a little bit stronger, but not really. I don't like my brother's wake up call or scary stories from, and this is the good thing about our family here, we can just make it up as we go along. Our scary stories from Uncle Paul. I don't know if you have an Uncle Paul. I do. Um, but even if I didn't, I would for this poem if I needed it. That's how rhymes work sometimes. You just kind of make it happen. So I don't like my brother's wake up call that much, but it's better. So what do we have? If we were to stick with exactly what we have here, what would we be? Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, that's the final word. Camp inside is not the same. A bedroom tent is pretty lame. I don't like swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. I don't like my brother's wake up call or scary stories from Uncle Paul. Maybe if scary stories is in quotes, that's funny because Uncle Paul's not a very scary guy. Scary stories from Uncle Paul. But fires, I don't like my brother's wake up call or scary stories from Uncle Paul. maybe he doesn't start liking it. So this is how it works. Sometimes you just got to sit with it and like let it sit out there and see how you feel. That's what we have down so far. Let's move this to the computer where we're going to type it up and we're going to keep talking through our choices and see if there's not anything we want to change. And we'll keep working on it and we'll keep adding to it. But um, a whiteboard can be really good for scribbling out ideas, but as you start to really hone in on the words, sometimes it's better to move to a written page or move to typing it up or something like that. So we'll do that. We'll keep working together. All right. So now we're going to move, we're moving on from the whiteboard, for at least for a little bit, to the page. And we're going to take a look. Sometimes I like making it look like a poem right up front so I get in the mood. It just helps a little bit in terms of getting in the mood. So, there we go. That looks like a poem. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard. But Mom said, that's the final word. Camp inside is not the same. I wonder if we should go into past tense. So he talks about what he didn't like, and then he talks about what he did like, and we kind of come out on the other side of camp, on the other side of summer. That's one thought. So if that was the case, it'd be camp inside was not the same. A bedroom tent was pretty lame. The bedroom tent was pretty lame, meaning like he actually tried all of these things, which is kind of, that's kind of fun. Let's play with that for a little bit. Camp inside. Camp inside. I get a name? Not yet. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was pretty lame. It was kinda lame. It was kinda lame. And it's not fun swimming in the. It's not fun swimming in the tub, isn't it? It's kind of lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. I like the brother's wake up call. I like the idea of his little brother picking up a trumpet or some kind of other instrument and waking him up. I don't think we spend enough time like talking about it to like really describe it. I feel like I want another line so I can really talk about whatever instrument his brother's using because I think that'd be funnier. So I'm gonna bring this down a little bit and then we're gonna like take a look at this and see if there's some way we can solve for that. Okay, cool. So now that we're in past tense, we can get a little bit more specific about things and we can talk about things as if they already happened so we know more about them. And so we're going to start to see the summer progress. Like the poem's going to take place over the course of the summer. You're kind of see these memories. So I think moving into a past tense right now, it's working out pretty well. So I'm going to get rid of I don't like my brother's wake up call and then say camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kind of lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. See, now we've painted a picture of what the little brother's doing to wake up Clyde. And Clyde doesn't like it. It's not, yeah, it's not as good as a trumpet, but that's okay. Like, that's like, we're getting into the place where it's like not as good, but you can tell like he's softening a little bit. So, scary stories is still on the table now. That's still one of our ideas that we haven't used up now. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. And oh, what is a camp counselor? Is that it? Like a camp counselor? Is that the person that you would be that would be kind of like the leader? Scout leader maybe? Camp leader. Hmm. Little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall, and the scary stories Dad would tell. I like where this is going. This is kind of like what Uncle Paul's scary stories were, where they're in parentheses, because I feel like the funny part is going to be them not being very funny or very scary. And the scary stories Dad would tell. Um, so the question is, if a dad was bad at telling scary stories, how would he be bad at it? What would be a funny way for a dad to be bad at scary stories? What if dad's scary stories were all about taxes or parking tickets? What if dad's scary stories was all about not cleaning up your room? That would be a really bad scary story. It'd be something that the dad would be like, "Ooh, that was pretty scary," and the kids would be like, "Come on, Dad, you're talking about you're just trying to like build character, right?" So there's something there that's fun. Scary stories Dad would tell. So I used the word tell. So maybe there's something that rhymes with tell. If not, we can always just change that sentence. Thought of a good rhyme. Smells a good rhyme. Scary stories Dad would tell. Were all about the basement smell. That's funny. That's funny, right? Scary stories dad would tell about the basement smell. The basement is a place in the house, so we're reinforcing that we're in the house. A basement smell is like a kind of a weird and very specific thing. You can see that dad might spend time trying to clean up the basement or fix the basement or to figure out what is going on. Why does this basement smell so bad? So like the dad having scary stories about a basement smell. I think that's funny. I'm really excited about that couplet. Cool. I feel good about that. Now we've got our scary stories also. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kind of lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. And the scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. But I think we need a few nice things here, and I think at the end of the day, Clyde has to be. Maybe Clyde is grateful, right, that he has a family that went out of their way to all make summer camp for him, even though he was stuck at home. The little brother did the wake up call. The dad told the scary stories. Even if these things aren't as good, these people cared enough about him to make summer camp real. And so I think that's probably where this poem is going, and that feels right, right? Like that feels like a good story to tell. Scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. still made s'mores. That's like s'mores are a fun camp thing, so I like that. And they still means okay, maybe it's not so bad. They still made s'mores. What else did they do? The postcards don't need stamps. I think this is still a good idea. They made a fire. So we're all about the basement smell. Family sat instead. Scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. And the family sat around a lamp instead of fires. Hold on. All right, where are we? Let's see. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. And the family sat around a lamp instead of fires. So the idea here was the family sat around a lamp. So we're talking about scary stories. When you're at camp, you're always sitting around like a campfire. So scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. And the family sat around a lamp instead of, you keep it pretty easy, at least at first, instead of campfires, like at camp. It's a little repetitive, but maybe it helps us keep moving for now. Let's read from the beginning for a minute and see kind of where the flow takes us, because I think we're on a really good trajectory. I think we've got a fun poem coming together. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kinda lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. We're all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires, and like at camp, they still made s'mores. How do you make s'mores at home? How do you make s'mores at home? I like though that he's leaning into the fact they still made s'mores. So you're getting into this point of view where he's not so miserable or mad about it. He's starting to like realize all the stuff. He's starting to realize all the stuff that his family did for him. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. They still made s'mores. How about this? How about the s'mores they made still tasted good, great, anything. We still have the postcards if we need it, because we haven't used that idea yet. Camp council, that was about Dad, so we're going to get rid of that. Fires take longer. Okay, we used the fire, we've used the postcards. Or we have the postcards here. I use bug spray a whole lot less. The hallway isn't. See, the hallway is such a mess, isn't really a big thing. Doesn't really make as much sense, especially since we've already had some screaming down the hall. I wonder if the hallway isn't such a mess makes a lot of sense. And the idea was like cooking. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial. Oh, you know what? With the cooking, you know what's fun? Is that I almost guarantee you, no offense to any camp chefs out there, but I almost guarantee you that mom cooking is better than camp cooking, right? We've got the swimming done. Do we still have stargazing? No, we don't have that on here. So let's throw in this. I do this a lot of times. I'll just start jotting down ideas, and then as things get used, getting rid of them, because it keeps it It keeps it easier. Oh, you know what we wrote earlier was pale because he wasn't in the sun. But now that we're thinking about like what could be good about being home instead of being at camp, what about um, what about not getting sunburned? That to me feels like a positive of being at camp inside. And we had that name that we liked if that's something we want to do. Or a lot of camps have really long names based on like Native American words that are like the forest or the river. Um, so camp inside, maybe there's like a long word we can make up that basically means staying inside at home. We had talked earlier about him yelling back and forth with a neighbor, so maybe the neighbors get involved somehow, right? We already talked about swimming in the tub, but we haven't talked about kayaking or canoeing. Those are things that you do at camp, right? What else do you do at camp? Have you guys gone to camp before? You have any good ideas of things that you do when you go to camp? Run around in the dirt and get dirty. You play outside games, like yard games, like I don't know. Do you play like Red Rover and stuff like that, or like larger stuff than that? Like, oh, there's some other good camp games. Hmm. Wildlife. There's wildlife out in the woods. Here, I'll try to keep this up into this page. Okay. Summer gives kids it's no fun swimming in the tub next to face shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. Family sat around a lamp instead of campfires at the camp. Instead of campfires like at camp. Oh, you know what? You know what we haven't talked about is that couch that we were a long time ago. We talked about a couch being used like a car. Well, what about a couch being used like a canoe? Could you like sit on a couch and pretend to paddle? That's fun. So the family sat around a lamp instead of campfires and at camp. Um, the couch canoe did not get far. But what's a good thing about a couch canoe? I bet it'd be more comfortable. That's my number one. I really think it'd be more comfortable. You wouldn't get wet. Comfortable is a hard word to rhyme, right? It really is a hard word to rhyme. Comfortable. Comfy? Still hard. What rhymes with comfy? But canoe is a good word to rhyme. So if we ended a sentence on canoe, we might be able to get away with it that way. Family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. The s'mores they made still tasted good. And his clothes. S'mores they made still tasted good, and his. I'm trying to think of good rhymes with wood, and so I'm trying to think of like wood things. which obviously camp has a ton of wood things, but since we're in this spot right here where we're around a campfire making s'mores, I'm thinking maybe he's sitting on like, if he was at camp, he'd be sitting on a stump of wood. But because he's at home, he gets to sit in his like in a recliner or in a nice chair, or like what's a comfy place to sit? We could say couch, but we kind of want to save the couch for the canoe. A lot of times, what you end up doing when you're writing poems like this is if you're trying to make like a list of stuff like we're doing, we're making a list of all the camp things that he had to do in an inside way, and that's kind of where the humor is. And kind of the key right now is to find a bunch of different things that he might have done at home instead of at camp. So we don't want to, we probably, I mean, nothing's for certain, but we probably don't want to talk about the couch of him sitting on the couch if we're then just going to talk about the couch of him doing something else on the couch. Because it just makes it feel less varied. It feels like we are exploring less territory. So it'd be funnier if he was in a chair or recliner. The s'mores they made still tasted good. And his chairs. More comfy than a stump of wood. I'm not crazy about it, but I think it kind of gets it. It's in the world, maybe. Maybe we'll see. A long trip on the couch canoe. Bug spray. You know what else is a good thing with bug spray? The term mosquito bites. Mosquito bites. It's really visual and visceral. We've all had them. Bites rhymes with a lot of stuff, and mosquito bites has a really good rhythm to it that I think fits in the poem. And before we're done, we'll actually go through and look at the rhythm of the poem and see. But I've been kind of keeping an eye on it throughout the process. So we'll talk about that. We need to get rid of. There we go. I think that sounds a little bit better. I think the rhythm is a little bit better. The s'mores they made still tasted good in seats much nicer than stumps of wood. Much nicer. I'm not crazy about yet, but we'll work on that when we have a chance. A long shrimp on the couch canoe. Was kind of fun and comfy too. There we go. See, canoe's a great word. Canoe's a great word because it has a fun rhythm and it gives you the ooh rhyme when there's a ton of ooh rhymes. Let me see. Let's see where we're at right now. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. I can perform better than that. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kinda lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. The s'mores they made still tasted good. In seats much nicer than stumps of wood. I still don't like much nicer. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. I think if we hit something about how it's way better not to get a bunch of mosquito bites, we might be getting to a good length and really solid, so we can start thinking about how we want to finish it up. Doesn't mean we have to be done, but I think it might get us enough examples that it feels kind of full. Scary stories to have to tell are all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. The s'mores they made still tasted good. Aha, instead of in seats much nicer, which is like I think it has an extra syllable and it's just in seats much nicer. It's not fun to say. How about simple? Simple is often better. In better seats than stumps of wood. There we go. That'll be really good. That'll be good for now. A long trip on the couch canoe. Instead, you know what? Actually, instead of in better seats than stumps of wood, you sit in a seat. That's fine, but you only sit on a stump of wood. And so you can sit on a seat. And I think the word on is actually going to make that a better sentence, because then it allows for the seat to stump of wood comparison more easily. The s'mores they made still tasted good on better seats than stumps of wood. It does sound like they're eating the s'mores off of the chairs, so that's weird. Family sat around a lamp, and well, they were already talking about sitting. Maybe we can move, maybe you can swap those. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires on like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. There we go, because now that actually works with the couplet before it. That's better. That's better. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. The s'mores they made still tasted good. It is a little strange to have the couplet divided, where the top one actually talks about the couplet above it and the second portion is kind of an independent thought. It's a little bit weird. I'm not dying on it, but it's a little bit strange. So maybe we'll see if we can tie those things together a little bit better. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. Even the word and would help, but it would break the rhythm. So let's see. The best family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood, and made their s'mores da 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 da. We've got 4 more syllables. We could say which tasted good, which is fine. In fact, it might be where we land because it's not bad. But what I'm missing there is still. The word still. Because if he was to say, and made their s'mores which still tasted good, he's still referencing the fact that he's comparing everything you're doing to camp. And the idea that the s'mores taste good is fine, but the idea that the s'mores still taste good means he's like, okay, this is one of those things that being at home, it's not so bad. So the family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood and made their s'mores. I said and made their s'mores because it ties it to the stuff above it. Stumps of wood. What about that? If we make it a parenthetical, we put it in parentheses, right? it means it's like a little bit of an aside comment, which kind of ties it to the three lines above it, because it makes you think they were making the s'mores while sitting in these seats while being around the lamp, which is great. I mean, that's a perfectly nice, awesome thing to do. Like that works for our poem. So the family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. Their s'mores still tasted just as good. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. I think we're getting there. I really do. I think all of a sudden we've kind of really naturally progressed from being like, this is no good, it's not as good as being at camp, to there being so many examples, and shifted we kind of shifted, right? So we have the bedroom tent was kind of lame. I'm sorry. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kind of lame. Negative. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. Great. Still kind of negative. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. That is probably a negative, but he doesn't explicitly say he didn't like it. He just mentions that it's kind of weird. So we're already kind of starting to step away from that negative connotation. And then the scary stories dad would tell were all about the basement smell. Again, it sounds like he's saying something kind of negative, and he might be, but he doesn't explicitly say he doesn't like it. Like, basement smell story could still be kind of funny. So he's softened. The first two things he was like, I didn't like it. The next two things he just kind of told us about them, and they were funny and weird, but didn't say he didn't like it. And then we get into this two couplets, like these four lines that we just made. This is what it does for us. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. It's another one of those where it doesn't sound as good, but he's not saying it's bad. And we connect it immediately to on better seats than stumps of wood. Oh, this is our first positive. Their s'mores still tasted just as good. Another positive. So now, all of a sudden, Inside Clyde is at least admitting that not all of inside summer camp is bad. And that's cool. So now we've actually watched this kind of emotional journey of him going, this is going to be the worst thing, into it's weird, into like, okay, treating the couch like a canoe was kind of fun. So a long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. So now this is the first time we've seen him say something's fun, right? Their s'mores still tasted just as good on better seats. So those were like, the chairs are better. The s'mores were just as good. They were equal. And then we get into a kind of fun and comfy too. All of a sudden it's sounding like he might be having an okay time. So if we have one or two, a little bit more examples of stuff that's fun, I think we get to a place where now we just need Clyde to kind of realize that that summer camp wasn't the worst thing ever, and maybe his family helped make it good for him, which is nice. It was kind of fun and comfy too. So yeah, here's where I think the mosquito bites comes in. So when we're talking about a long trip on the couch canoe, the couch canoe's, first of all, awesome. It has the good C sound. It's alliteration, so we're using those two sounds back to back. Couch canoe. It's fun to say, easy to say. It's kind of fun and comfy too. We've got a lot of alliteration in there, actually. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. 4 times we have the hard K sound to begin a word, which gives it all a very like playful feel. But if you're out on a canoe and you're on the river on a canoe, what are the things you deal with out on the canoe? Sunburn and mosquito bites, right? So I have a feeling that we can lean into the fact that Inside Clyde is realizing that Camp Inside, as we're calling it, isn't so bad. And in fact, not getting mosquito bites and not getting sunburn are pretty great. I think that might get us over the finish line on this. Not to say we couldn't add more examples later if we wanted to, but I think it might be enough that we've made that transition we talked about, and then these things will just like kind of push us over the edge into like summer camp is okay. That's how I'm feeling now. So we've got, it sounds to me like we've got at least 2 more couplets to write. We'll see if we can knock it out that fast or if it takes us a little longer to get there. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. If I was talking about not getting mosquito bites, I would say something like 0 mosquito bites, no sunburn, hallways in such a mess. I don't really care about that anymore. Mom's cooking's better than camp cooking. Okay, sunburn. We just moved upstairs. Kayak canoe and the couch. Yep, we did that. Wildlife's actually really good. If there was some kind of animal. 0 mosquito bites, no sunburn, and wildlife. Like, what would wildlife be? That if it's wildlife at camp, what is it for him? It's probably like a pet dog or pet cat, or like a local squirrel or raccoon, but probably a pet dog. That feels like an inside thing, right? No sunburn, 0 mosquito bites. These are all positives of not going away to camp. So a long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. And ended I'm thinking mosquito bites. I like the bites. I think mosquito bites is fun, and I think it does a lot for us. I want to rhyme bites. My first instinct for rhyming bites is sights. So I'm trying to think of a way to establish the word sights and to bring the sights into it to talk about the canoe ride. So a long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. So I'm thinking that if he went on this canoe ride and he's at home on this canoe ride, he has to make up what he sees, right? Anything he sees, the sights that he has, anything, he has to make them up. But he's already started to talk about things in a positive manner. So we don't want to say something like, and there was nothing to see from the couch, because that would be really negative. But if we think about it like an optimist, like, okay, what if he felt pretty good about this summer camp inside thing? If the couch canoe was fun, like we talked about, it was kind of fun, then how did he deal with that? Well, in my mind, he used his imagination, right? He used his imagination and he thought up awesome things that he was seeing from this couch canoe as he's like paddling like the back pillow of a couch, right? That's how I'm imagining it. And that was probably if I was going to draw or have someone draw art for this, if we were going to work on art, I think that might be like a really good visual. There would be others, but that would be one of my favorite visuals was him like holding a couch cushion on like an oar. But let's see. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. Clyde got to make up all the sights and left with no mosquito bites. It's a little messy, but I think we have an idea. Clyde got to make up all the sights. He imagined a long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. What's another term for imagine or make up? That's what I'm thinking of right now because I want to find a fun word to talk about how he's making up what he's seeing on this canoe. So imagine, make up, invent. You could invent or invented. He invented. He projected. He Think up. Think up is cool. Long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. Clyde thought up all his own sights. I like these two, but I'm having a little trouble getting these sentences to work properly. So maybe we explore some other options, other ways of saying what we're trying to say. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too. Okay, what are other things about going on a canoe trip that might be different if you're on a couch canoe trip? You don't get turned around. There's no fear of falling in. Don't get turned around, you can't fall in. Can't fall in is like you can't turn over a couch like you would turn over a canoe and get everything wet. Don't get wet. Long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites. That sounds bad. I like that better because that's about that, and came with no mosquito bites. Rhyme is just there, but if we see if there's another rhyme we might like more. Rights, fights, kites, spreads, whites, nights. I'm thinking about nights. No mosquito bites. Maybe mosquito bites would be something that would keep him up at night because he was itching it. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. It's fun. It's a thing. We'll see if we stick with it. Better seats and some with this much exercise to the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep it itching up at nights. No. Sometimes it's fun now to try to see if we can put together a string of positives, like really quickly, to add a lot of elements to our list and to get them to fully flip into being positive. Plus, when you can do that, when you don't need as much explanation on each of them, and you just say pow, 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 if you can make it rhyme and rhythm and all that, it adds a lot of color. It adds a lot of you get a really greater picture of all the things that they did or he did at home instead of being at camp, and the ways that he in the ways that it was better, which is kind of what we're focusing on right now. So, came with no mosquito bites to keep itching up at nights. No sunburn. Sunburn. He didn't sunburn even once. Oh yeah, back to the wildlife and the pet dog, right? Like, he didn't sunburn even once. The local wild, this isn't gonna rhyme. The local wildlife The local wildlife, we're gonna say the local wildlife because we know we're inside, might be the dog. But if you call it the local wildlife, that kind of references what's happening at camp. The local wildlife loved belly rubs. We'll have to work out the rhythm and the rhyme on that, but I really like that visual. The local wildlife at Camp Inside loves belly rubs. Um, Belly rubs is a strong. The rhythm on this doesn't work very well, so we're gonna have to keep working on it. But belly rubs is a really strong term because you immediately know you're kind of talking about a dog or a pet. If we just said scratches or pets, maybe pets would work, but it wouldn't necessarily get us there in terms of like the action that he's taking on with this animal. So we definitely want to make sure that if we're gonna use the local wildlife as like a joke term for the pet dog, we definitely want to make sure that the action word makes it very clear what we're talking about so that people get the joke. Otherwise, they'd be like, why is he scratching a raccoon? So we've got a few good ideas here. We've got he didn't sunburn even once. That seems like something that we can fit in there. It's a good line. The local wildlife loved belly rubs. We got to work on the rhythm of that line a little bit, but I like the idea a lot. No sunburn and wildlife. That's those two. Great. We don't need that anymore. Imagine, made up, invented. We used thought up, right? Oh no, we moved away from the idea of sights because we couldn't make it work. So we pivoted from sights to keep them up at night, uh, which works great. We are able to use the words that we wanted to use, and I'm sorry, get the rhyme we wanted to get, and it works perfectly. Postcards still don't need stamps. Bug spray, mom cooking. Stargazing is interesting because it's something you can still do. Like there's no reason why you can't stargaze at home. Let's read from the top, shall we? Sometimes when I'm not sure what to do next, I just read from the top and see if the poem tells me where it wants to go. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was kinda makes me feel like it's only a half negative, but since this is the beginning of our list, earlier I didn't want him to be so negative, but I think because it's the beginning of the list, it can be like it can be very negative. So kinda doesn't give me there. The bedroom tent was really lame. We'll start with really. We'll see how we feel about that. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp on better seats than stumps of wood. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. On better seats than stumps of wood. The s'mores still tasted just as good. I'm going to change this and make it more action. The s'mores they made were just as good. I think that's better. Same rhythm, but I think it's the s'mores they made gives them like the action of making s'mores. On better seats than stumps of wood, the s'mores they made were just as good. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. He didn't sunburn even once. Um, we could try to rhyme once, or we could just try to restructure that line. There's no reason why we need to stick with once unless it gives us something. So once is like dunce, once, runts, once, months. I can't think of any words that really work for our poem here. I can think of a few, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that really fits in with our camp poem. So I'm gonna move away from once. and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. He didn't sunburn. Didn't sunburn. Maybe we can rhyme with rubs. Tub. Pubs. Blubs. Sometimes it's fun to use fake words. Maybe if there was something like if a water cooler or something, if it was blubbing, blubs, that would be kind of fun. Bubs. Subs. Submarine sandwiches. Submarines. Dubs. Flubs. Making mistakes. It's not belly rubs is really good, so I'm gonna have to find a rhyme for that somewhere. Because I really want to use that phrase, the local wildlife. The local wild animal. Dog. The local dog loved belly rubs. It's not too bad. I mean, the local makes it feel a little bit like at the camp thing, but I like wildlife because wildlife gives you such a good, it brings in a phrase that really is like camp, or remind us of camp and being out in the woods. So I'm dealing with two things right now. I'm dealing with I don't have a good rhyming sentence for rubs, and I'm also still, and I should maybe hold off on worrying about this, but the local wildlife loved belly rubs doesn't have the right rhythm. And I know we haven't spoken too much about rhythm yet, but we're going to get into it. And so I've been trying to protect us to make sure that when we get to there, when you write in a lot of poems, when you start to hear the rhythm really well, I'm sure you can too, the the ups and the downs. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. I'm sure obviously you're hearing it, right? Like, Papa, 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 Papa. Every single word, every single sentence right now is stressed, unstressed. Da 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 da. It's like drumming, and that's one of the fun parts of writing a poem in meter is you get this really fun rhythm, and that makes it fun to read and fun to hear. And so that's what we've been trying to do in the rhythm. So when I say the local wildlife loved belly rubs, you see it messes up. It's the is a down, right? So it would be the down part of the foot. Here, let's go up to one that works so we can see. And came with no mosquito bites. Right? So that's 4 feet. Each foot has a down and then an up. So, and came is 1 foot. With no, 2 feet. Mosquito, 3 feet. Toe bites, 4 feet. And that works because the word mosquito is naturally mosquito. And so we fit it in the sentence in a way that goes da 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 da. That's why I was excited about mosquito bites, because it felt like it fit, and it did. It fit really well. To keep him itching up at night. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Great. The local wild life loved belly rubs. Doesn't work. It doesn't sound good. So sometimes when I'm trying to figure out how I would fix a sentence for the rhythm, is I'll just start messing with the words that are there, even if it doesn't make sense yet, to get the rhythm right. And then once I get the rhythm correct, maybe I can swap a word out. Maybe I realize that if wildlife was just 1 syllable, then the rhythm would work. And so then I just start thinking, okay, what's another word for wildlife that's only 1 syllable long? Or maybe I learned that loved is not the right word because it's only one syllable and I need something with two syllables, like adored. And so that's how we kind of swap words out, like finding a building, like finding a Lego or something that fits right in the right spot. We are always looking for words that fit in the rhythm, words that also color us a picture that matches the story we're trying to tell and does all the other things. So that's what we're thinking about right now. So we've got, like I said, two issues. We've got rubs doesn't rhyme and the rhythm's bad. So I like this line so much, but it's gonna be hard to fit in. So maybe we'll have to lose it. Sometimes you got to do that, or maybe we can figure out a way to make it work. The low works for me. Go wild. So if I was to just get rid of life, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think the rhythm works. The low, go wild, loved belly rubs. It's not great. Loved is a pretty strong word to have on a downbeat. Belly rubs. Belly rubs. Belly rubs is definitely up, down, up. The low, go wild, up, down, up. So we need to go into belly with a down. So let's work on just the end of the sentence. Adored is down, up. But like something like patted, that doesn't make sense here, but the word patted, P-A-T-T-E-D, would be up, down. Patted. The pat is the strong part of the word, and the ed is the weak part of the word in terms of the rhythm. So padded belly rubs, like that would make sense. So the local wild, we lose local. We get into the wildlife. And love doesn't work, we decided, because it's only one syllable and we need something else. The wildlife, the loved the belly rubs. I think that the wildlife loved the belly rubs gives us something. It might not be the final, but the rhythm works. It makes sense. And the only issue we have now, which might be significant, is we haven't rhymed rubs yet. Tubs, pubs, blubs, bubs, subs, flubs. Tubs. What could happen in tubs? Like, what do you think of when you think of tubs? We already talked about a bathtub. So we don't want to talk about that. We also already used the rhyme tub. So using tubs now feels a little weird. So when we used the rhyme tub, we used the rhyme scrub. So I would probably, since we used it up above in the poem, I would probably avoid using either of those words because I really don't like to repeat rhyming sounds, multiple couplets in the same poem, unless it's on purpose or I'm rhyming it all on purpose, or or sometimes the poem's just so long it makes sense. But I try to avoid it if I can, just to vary everything up. So we're going to avoid tub and scrub for now and see if we can work with anything else, because that I think would be better for the poem. So we don't have to worry about animal, dog, because we were able to use wildlife. And I still love belly rubs, so we'll see if we can make it work. Pubs, blubs, bubs, subs, flubs. Ooh, not a lot there. But subs could work. It's a little bit of a left turn. But what we're talking about is this detailing all of these things that happened to him in the summer, and I can imagine that instead of mom cooking is better than camp cooking. Okay, these are the things I'm looking at right now. Mom cooking is better than camp cooking. Here, let's just bring all of this down so we can focus on it. Okay, a long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. He didn't sunburn. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. I'm thinking mom cooking is better than camp cooking. That was about mom cooking better than a camp cafeteria or wherever you eat at camp. Subs, although it's not really mom cooking, so we might lose that joke that we like. But subs could be submarine sandwiches, right? But remember, we have to use subs as a way to rhyme rubs. So we can't call them submarine sandwiches or we totally lose the rhyme. And that's the whole point. So is there another way that we can use a word to designate subs to like clarify to our reader that we're talking about sandwiches? Because if we just said, and they had subs, you'd be like, what? Some people don't even use that term. Some people call them grinders or hoagies or whatever. Subs by itself isn't super clear. But if I was to say something like 6 foot subs, now we've got a pretty clear understanding that we're talking about a submarine sandwich, a 6 foot sub. The other good news works with the rhythm. It works with the rhythm. So now something 6 foot subs. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. Now we're getting into kind of fun. 6 foot subs are awesome. Like everyone loves a sandwich, like a huge sandwich, and so instead, like let's play with 6 foot subs as maybe a camp lunch and see if we can work that out, or a lunch instead of a lunch you would get at camp. I'm still not clear on what type of lunch you get at camp. Do you just eat a lot of beans out of cans? Have you guys been to camp? Do you eat a lot of beans out of cans? And came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. Okay, I have an idea. It feels to me like camp is an event and an experience. I don't know if this is a real thing, but I feel like it might be. The last night of camp, you have like an awesome meal, right? Do you all like sit around at tables? Maybe you don't, but I don't know. I'm making this up based on what I know about camp. Do you sit around and have like a final meal, like a big final gala, and you have a huge awesome meal? And 6 foot subs sounds like a huge sandwich, like a big thing that's awesome that maybe everyone at the camp would eat on the last day. They'd bring out some giant submarine sandwiches and lay them out on tables and chop them up, and all the kids would be able to grab sandwiches and eat. Maybe they would be doing that while they're like packing up to go home. Packing. We haven't even talked about the fact that he hasn't had to pack or unpack, so that's cool too. But let's see. We're trying to work in subs right now, so let's see if this works. And came with no mosquito bites to keep itching up at nights. The wildlife loved the belly rubs, obviously. The final lunch was 6 foot subs. Not the best line, but it works. And what it does is it gives us this wildlife loved the belly rubs. So if there's a better rhyme or a better way to get that in, great. I'm not crazy about the 6 foot subs, but it does give us this rhyme and it lets us talk about the dog in a really funny way. So just like anything else, some of your lines are going to be your favorite and some are going to be there to help support the other ones, right? To help flesh out a story, to help make something possible and fit a line in. You want each line to be as strong as it can be. So if there was a better line to support belly rubs, I would. But I like the belly rubs line enough that if the final lunch was 6 foot subs stays in the poem in order to keep belly rubs around, I'm in. So we're going to keep it for now. If we think of any other good rhymes, we can look into that. And actually, you know what? The one good thing about that line, the final lunch was 6 foot subs, is it's brought our summer to a close. We've watched camp finally end. Summer camp is over now. The final lunch. So when we way back at the beginning, when we changed the poem into past tense, we said that what the poem was going to become was, after the first 2 lines, Mom says that's the final word, then I think we think of the rest of the poem as almost a montage of all the things that Clyde does to have camp at home. because it's in past tense. So camp inside was not the same. As soon as you say was not the same, then people understand the poem is telling me about stuff that happened, that already happened. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp, on better seats than stumps of wood. The s'mores they made were just as good. Where's the rest of our poem? Here it is. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs. I feel like he would like sandwiches. And after we use the word fun? Oh, we used the word fun, but we didn't rhyme the word fun, so we have it. That's awesome. That's such a good rhyme. We haven't used that at all. We've got Clyde, heard, same, tub, call, tell, lamp, wood, canoe, bites, rubs, done. We haven't used done. Done, fun, one. We got a million options with this one. And after summer camp was done. So the reason why I'm saying an after summer camp was done is we're bringing the poem to a close. We can always go up and add more stuff in the middle if we want to. But we're bringing the poem to a close. And it's after the final lunch. So it felt like a really good time to like lead into, okay, what was the final message? What did Clyde gain out of this experience? So we talked about how the emotional arc changed from being him finding out he couldn't go to camp, super bummer, and then things are bad, and then things are just weird. They're not bad, but they're weird. And then and some things are kind of fun, and now we're getting into, and now it's over. And what did Clyde learn? What did Clyde learn from the experience? Maybe that you can make your fun. You make fun where you have it. He learned that his family loves him a lot. I mean, he couldn't go to camp, so his dad told scary stories, and they all gathered around a lamp, and his brother did the wake-up call, and everyone contributed. So I feel like Clyde learned a lot in this poem. And so at least touching on that, just the tiniest bit, not too much. So, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after summer camp was done, Clyde was said to, after, you know what? Remember how we called it camp inside? That term, camp inside, might fit right here. And that kind of talks about, how it's actually become a thing to him. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after camp inside was done, Clyde was sad to end the fun. No bears, no burns, no bugs, I'm just playing with the no bees. No bears, no burns, no bees, no. What's another one syllable B word that would be something that you might run into it, like a bad thing you'd run into at camp? Like if you ran into a bear at camp, that's bad. If you got burned or sunburned at camp, that's bad. If you ran into bees at camp, bees are good, but running into bees at camp is bad. No bears, no burns, no bees. We could just go with no bugs. The good news, the good thing about what we're working with right now is we've got a lot. We can rearrange these little couplets in any, or little pairs of words in any way we want. So it could be, we can make no bears last, or we can make no burns last, or we can make no bees last, we can make no bugs last. So we can rhyme any of them, which makes things easier because it gives us a lot of. So bugs rhymes with hugs, right? But my concern with hugs is that we get into a really sappy, saccharine, sweet place if we was like, no bears, no burns, no bees, no bugs, and lots of lovely family hugs, camp inside. You're like, yeah, it's just a little saccharine. Um, Hugs could work, but where my head goes at first, it seems to be a little bit too sweet for my taste. No bears, bears, fairs, mares, tears. And basically, right now I'm just typing rhyming words and seeing if any of them jump out at me as being good camp words or good final words. Um, Burns, learns, yearns. Churns. No. Okay. Bees. Bees is a good one. Please. Sneeze. Allergies. Allergies is fun. It's fun when you think of a good word that's more syllables that works with the rhythm. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees. No bees. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no blip, 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 allergies. Yeah, allergies is good. This is like the final, this is like his final rundown of the stuff that was pretty good. And if we want to, we can move this couplet up before the end if it might make more sense there. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final left 6 subs after so was done. Clyde was sad to end the fun. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no. I actually thought about the fact that knees, 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 is also a rhyme, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to use that. But I like allergies as a rhyme, and so I almost want to kind of lean into the fact that I'm not using the rhyme. It's kind of like a little, like, and I had another rhyme if I needed it. Like, I don't know why. I just think that's like a little fun kind of something that no one's ever going to notice, but I know. I know that when I say no scraped up legs, it's just like a little bit of a. I could have rhymed knees here also, but I had an even better idea with allergies. It'll be even better if I spell it right. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no scraped up legs, no allergies. You know what? I'm going to move this up to right there because we have mosquito bites, and then this goes into bugs, and then also because yeah, bites is the other word that could have fit in there, but it's better that we didn't because we used it already. Came with no mosquito bites, keep them itching up at night. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no scraped up legs, no allergies. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after camp inside was done, Clyde was sad to end the fun. And I think our final line, I think we're almost there. I think our final line is going to be about how he didn't have to unpack. And that will kind of put a button on his summer. The unpacking is when you arrive home. So now we've told this story about the entire summer. It also is like the last positive thing. He's all done. He's like, oh yeah, and now I can just kind of, I can chill out or do whatever I want to do next because I don't have to pack up all my stuff and go home. Like, and at no point am I saying that going to camp isn't fun, right? We're just talking about him making the best of his summer because he wasn't able to go. And after camp inside was done, Clyde was sad to end the fun. Sad to end the fun. So what rhymes with unpack? Because it's a really, I think, good final word. He didn't even have, the rhythm would work. He didn't even have to pack, which is fine. That's when you leave camp. Unpack, I think, is a little bit stronger. It's a more, I don't know, unpack just feels like a little bit of a stronger word and a stronger visual than pack. Plus it gets him all the way at home. If he was to go to a camp and come home and unpack, you're home instead of when you pack, you're still at camp. But we need, first things first, we need a rhyme for pack, because either pack or unpack, it's gonna be the same rhyme. So attack, black, slack, track, pack, flack. A lot of good rhymes for pack. Rack. Yak. Chack. No, that's not even a word. Chack is not a word. Drac. Nope. Stack. Smack. Is this fun for you? Friend named Jack. Oh, and the simplest one, back. Back is a great word. That's what we were looking for, because that means it's like you're leaving camp and you're going home. You're coming back. Now we know, because Camp Inside, he doesn't even have to come back. So it's as a word, it works. It gives us something to play with in terms of like a twist, like an outside thing inside, a camp thing home. Coming back gives us something to work with, and it rhymes with pack. So I think we might have something. I think we might have something, guys. Okay, cool. I'm gonna drop all these down because I think I found the word I wanted. Back. And after Camp Inside was done, Clyde was sad to end the fun. Inside was done. Clyde was sad to end the fun. I'm thinking about how short the car ride would be home. If you're going from home to home, it's a very short car ride. I like the idea that he still gets in the car and puts the stuff in and then he gets out, but he may or may not. After Camp Inside was done, Clyde was sad to end the fun. He walked out the door and came right back. No. He walked out the door and came right back. He was sad to end the fun. It was such a short car ride back. The rhythm's not there. And when he got back, I'm thinking maybe it goes up here before this final, and then we'll work with these a little bit to make them a little stronger to end on. That's what I'm thinking. Final lunch was 6 foot subs. And after, as you know, we haven't talked about Mom since the very beginning of the poem. She was the one to deliver the bad news to him. Obviously, she was a part of the summer, but we only talk about the brother and the dad, and then the family. But we never say the mom again. And I feel like now might be a really good time to bring Mom into the ending, so that she can bookend it. She was the one that had to deliver the bad news. She was like helping make the summer better for him, and now maybe she's the one to welcome him back. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after Mom said, "Welcome back." We'll work with that. Mom said, "Welcome back." Something like that. We're going to work with this. We're going to start with this. And then Clyde didn't even go unpack. After camp inside was done, Clyde I'm thinking Clyde admitted it was kind of fun. Clyde, what's a better word for admitted? Something that fits. Clyde what's another word for admitted? Okay, cool. Let's read it all together since we're getting so close. Can we even fit it all on one page? Do we write a multi-page poem together right now? Whoa. Let's shrink the text just a little bit. Just a little bit so we can fit it all on a page now. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we have. We're going to tweak it a little bit, but we'll take a look and then we'll go through rhythm, and then we might have a poem. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. On better seats than stumps of wood, the s'mores they made were just as good. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun. And comfy, too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no scraped up legs, no allergies. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after, Mom said, "Welcome back." And Clyde didn't even go unpack. After camp inside was done, Clyde said, "This was kind of fun." I think that we can lose the last line. I think it's unnecessary. After camp inside was done, Clyde said this was kind of fun. The only thing I like about it is the term camp inside. I think that's good. But overall, like after it was done, Clyde said this was kind of fun. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after, Mom said, "Welcome back." And Clyde didn't even working on the rhythm, and Clyde didn't even unpack. And Clyde. And Clyde did not even unpack. Problem is even. Even is up, down. Where it is in the sentence right now is down, up, right? And Clyde did not even unpack. But we can't even. Sounds strange. Clyde did not bother to unpack. Welcome back. How about have to? Is that better? And Clyde did not have to unpack. This last couplet, I really don't think we need it. I think that him not unpacking is strong. And I think saying after Camp Inside was done, Clyde said this is kind of fun, might be a little bit overkill. I think you get I mean, by the time this is over, it's like no bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees. You know, the wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final launch was 6 foot tubs, and he's exclamation point. I want mom to be I want there to be a little bit more of a connection because she's not mean. She's like has to deliver the bad news at the beginning. So I want there to be more of an emotional connection there. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6 foot subs. Mom hugged him. Mom hugged Clyde. Then Mom hugged Clyde. Mom hugged Clyde for welcome back. Then Mom hugged Clyde. Then Mom. What's a word for telling someone something in a way that's like emotional, welcoming, loving? It's like the mom told Clyde, welcome back. What do we have? Right towards the end is where I think we have to maybe just tweak a couple things. That last line, our new last line, because I still think I'm gonna get rid of the last line. Then Mom told Clyde, welcome back, and Clyde did not have to unpack. I like the rhyme. I like the back and unpack. I think it makes sense. I think story-wise it definitely makes sense. But I think we can make the rhyme, I think we can make the line sound a little stronger. I think the rhythm can be a little better, and I think that maybe we can find a more clever way of putting it together. So then Mom told Clyde, welcome back. Because really, if we were going to follow our rhythm, like I said before, sometimes you just put in a word even if it doesn't work to show what the rhythm would be. It'd be this. Then Mom told Clyde to welcome back. That doesn't make sense. So, wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6 foot subs. I'm going to play with this for a second. Then Mom. I kind of like this. I kind of like, it's not perfect, but I kind of like and sent him upstairs to not unpack. That's fun. That's a really fun way of saying that. So I think, and sent him upstairs to not unpack is good. Plus, what it means is that we are definitely going to have Mom in the first line because then she would send him upstairs. Lunch was situations. Okay, what I'm thinking is that this final couplet, there's just too much, a little bit too much information we have to fit into it to get it to fit in the line. Because we want mom, really, I would like to see mom hug Clyde. I would like to see mom maybe throw a little bit of a party, like a welcome back party, like because she's in on the joke because she's been helping pitch camp. So like throw a little welcome back party, or maybe streamers or like a sign, the letters on a sign that just say welcome back. Um, and I really like and send him upstairs to not unpack. So I don't want to lose that. I think I'm having a little bit of a tough time figuring out how we can get all of the emotion and detail of his return home, in one line. So I might have to break it up and create an extra couplet, add some detail about about him coming home and like her making a big deal of it, and then we lead into the end. We have already used the word camp. It is a pretty obvious word to use for this because this whole poem is about camp. So if there was a good rhyme with camp, it might be worth it to get this line to work. Then mom asked Clyde, "So how was camp?" Because it really kind of, we've already used fun, right? Have we not used fun? Oh, that was going to be here. Ah, okay. Cool. So maybe we can have this rhyme. Then mom asked Clyde. Here we go. This is what it is. Instead of Clyde said this was kind of fun. After camp inside was done, mom asked Clyde, not in quotes, mom asked Clyde, "Did you have fun?" That's where we go. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6 foot subs. And after camp inside was done, mom asked Clyde, "Did you have fun?" And threw a party to welcome him back. But it's too many syllables, as we'll see. Party to welcome him back. And sent him upstairs to not unpack. I don't think I'm going to capitalize it, but I think I will, because here's the thing. And sent him upstairs to unpack is rhythm, right? Without the not. It's the rhythm without the not. But the not is the joke, and it's at the absolute end of the poem. So I'm kind of okay breaking the rhythm on purpose, because it's another example of how camp inside at home is different than camp away, like going to camp. And sent him upstairs to unpack would be a totally normal sentence to have from someone coming home from, in a poem about someone coming home from camp, since he's not unpacking because he didn't go away. I'm okay with just that once of like breaking the rhythm, because it's intentional, right? We're doing it on purpose, which that's really the key. It's not about never breaking the rules in poetry. It's just about knowing what rules you're setting up and setting them up and keeping and staying consistent. And then if you're consistent and you follow the rules when you want, like if I follow the rules throughout the poem, then when I break the rule right at the end, it makes a statement. If I'm breaking rules and not following any rules throughout the whole poem, then no one's gonna get that statement from me. It's not gonna make sense. But because I'm keeping to a really strong rhythm throughout the entire poem, that when I break the rhythm, hopefully it'll either make it a little funnier, it'll give them a little chuckle, or it'll make a point. So I think that's my idea there. Final lunch with 6 subs. So after camp inside was done, I kind of like Mom asked her Clyde. I don't know. The rhythm is better. It's a little bit strange, but it also implies like that she really cares about him. Like this is her son. So I'm unsure, but it might be worth. All that I feel of the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs. So you know, 6-foot subs. After camp inside was done, Mom asked her Clyde, "Did you have fun?" After camp inside was done, Mom asked her Clyde, "Did you have fun?" Son back. There we go. That's kind of fun. I think we got something there. And hugged her son to welcome him back, because he's not actually coming back. And hugged her son to welcome him back, and sent him upstairs to not unpack. Ooh, I think we might have something. So let's read the poem right now with a really strong ear for rhythm. We really want to hear if we have that drum beat going, okay? And if we do, and it feels good, then I think we might be done. If there's any lines that feel off, like the words aren't hitting in the rhythm correctly, then we'll see what we can do to fix them up. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub. Next to shampoo and facial scrub, his little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp. On better seats than stumps of wood. There's the s'mores they made were just as good. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no scraped up legs, no allergies. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs. And after camp inside was done, Mom asked her Clyde, "Did you have fun?" and hugged her son to welcome him back, and sent him upstairs to not unpack. And hugged her son to welcome him back. It's an extra syllable. That messes up our beat. So, and hugged her son to welcome back. The problem is, welcome back. To welcome back, that doesn't really work. You have to welcome him back. You have to be welcoming. So she needs to welcome her son. So now we need to figure out a new way to write this sentence that fits with our rhythm and hopefully sticks with the story. After camp inside was done, Mom asked her Clyde, "Did you have fun?" and hugged her son to bring him back, to welcome him back, to... What's another word for welcome? To welcome someone. We can keep it really simple. Let's just keep it simple. I like welcome, but it doesn't work here. So that's, and hugged her son as he got back. That's fun. That's fun. Inside Clyde. Summer camp is canceled, Clyde. You'll have to spend the time inside. Clyde was shocked at what he heard, but Mom said, that's the final word. Camp inside was not the same. The bedroom tent was really lame. It's no fun swimming in the tub next to shampoo and facial scrub. His little brother's wake-up call was just some screaming down the hall. The scary stories Dad would tell were all about the basement smell. The family sat around a lamp instead of campfires like at camp, on better seats than stumps of wood. The s'mores they made were just as good. A long trip on the couch canoe was kind of fun and comfy too, and came with no mosquito bites to keep him itching up at nights. No bears, no burns, no bugs, no bees, no scraped up legs, no allergies. The wildlife loved the belly rubs. The final lunch was 6-foot subs, and after Camp Inside was done, Mom asked her Clyde, "Did you have fun?" and hugged her son as he got back and sent him upstairs to not unpack. And that is Inside Clyde. Thank you guys so much for writing with me. That's incredible. And hopefully you learned something and enjoyed it. And I'd love to hear from you and see your poems. We're all a little bit safe inside right now. I know I am. Clyde obviously was able to make the most of it, creating summer camp at home. And I hope you can do the same. Be creative with the space you have. I hope you have a great day and keep writing.